Hey everyone, this is Anna Alexander, and this is Dish About the Dish, where the foods we eat tell the stories of our lives. I'm so excited to talk to someone I haven't seen in forever, Cait, who's been so gracious to join us from all the way from me, from Scotland. So here we go.
Cool.
Oh,
There we go.
But thank you so much for joining me today and doing this with me.
Pleasure.
So I know that you are a world traveler, so I'm very interested to know, what is your most memorable meal?
See, now this was difficult because, believe it or not, I am the world's most picky eater. So I'm not very food adventurous. So I tend to associate meals with places or experiences rather than the actual meal.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about it, and I could only think about a couple that came straight to mind. And one was the first time I experienced the Great British Curry.
Oh.
Because I'm a picky eater, so I mean I wouldn't eat that kind of thing, but my parents were like, try this, and I've never looked back. And the other is probably when I went to New Orleans and sitting having beignets in Cafe du Monde, or the same time fried green tomatoes. The first time I had fried green tomatoes, believe it or not.
Yeah, those beignets
not what I
are
expected, but it's good.
Yeah. I think it's funny that you mentioned the British curry. What is it with Britain and curry? You hear it all the time.
I think we have a lot of immigration from, that kind of corner of the world, India, China. So, our food cultures are quite integrated at this point. But I mean, I've now eaten curry in Britain, and I've eaten curry I've only ever been to Spain and America and Ireland. But I've eaten curry, and none of them are the same as the British curry.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I think they've altered the way they cook it to match the British palate.
So it's toned down.
No, it's still spicy, but the thing is they've kind of created new dishes, I think, that we would eat.
Right. Yes.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I know that the curries in Britain are different from everywhere else.
That's interesting. Because when the first time I went to Britain years ago, I think the first 5 people I met were all from India.
Yeah.
And for a half second, you're like, did I go to the right country? It's like,
get off at the right stop.
Yeah, and I do remember going to an Indian restaurant in Knightsbridge that was amazing. And again, it's been years since I've been there, but I remember that meal at the Indian. I can't remember the Indian the right name of the restaurant, but I remember it was in Knightsbridge, like a few blocks around from Harrods. And so, yeah, they do have really good Indian food.
Well, my first one was in a restaurant that sits right on the beach. So again, it's the experience more than the food that I remember, and sitting there and being able to see the sea and the sunset, and it was just nice.
Now, okay, so you have suddenly, I don't know if it's suddenly or what, but I noticed it more, have gotten into baking.
Oh, it is sudden.
Yeah, what has inspired this need or this desire to, like, I'm gonna go into baking?
So I guess I've always been again picky eater, so can't cook, won't cook. Mm-hmm. I never have. And I was I don't know if you know, in America, the shielding category due to COVID. So in the UK, people who are at high risk of serious illness or death from COVID were all asked to stay at home and not socialise with anyone. So like literally stay in the house. Mm-hmm. So that category, I was put into that category in about April last year. After I had a sudden worsening of my asthma symptoms. I've always had really mild asthma, but last year I had what I thought was a flu. Maybe have been COVID at the time. I didn't know because they weren't testing. That was in February. So they had to put me on the shielding category because my asthma became really unstable suddenly, and it stayed like that. So I was in the house, me and my parents. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't interact with anybody. And we were learning all sorts of new skills last year. We were learning how to make planters, and we were out in the garden and doing things. And then in the winter time, obviously we couldn't do that. And my dad passed away just before Christmas. Oh. So my mum and I were in the house on our own, and we started watching or rewatching the Great British Bake Off show because she hadn't seen it before, although I was a fan. And just watching all those episodes again, and I've always kind of thought maybe I could do that, but never really did it. But now I had all this time in my hands, so I just thought, let's give it a go.
You've been doing really well. I'm impressed with the pictures that you take. What's your technique for taking those fabulous pictures?
A good phone. Really, literally, my phone does all the work. But it's I've actually been really lucky. I've really not had any major disasters. I must have a hidden talent for it.
I think also you've always struck me as a kind of a patient person. And I think a lot of baking is patience, of letting it do what it's due, taking the time to fold in your ingredients properly so you're not just beating them to death. And I think patience, that mindset is helpful.
I think I'm also quite precise when I do things. So I've always been kind of like scientifically minded in a way. And you know, it is a science. I said that on Facebook. I think it's science that tastes good. You know, even if you screw it up a little bit, it usually still tastes good.
Exactly.
So I think that's it.
What's been the most favorite thing that you've baked so far?
The Victoria sponge is always going to be, I think, a favourite because that was the first thing I made. But yesterday I made an orange drizzle loaf, and that was amazing.
That did look good. That looked good. But yeah, I was gonna hope you mentioned Victoria sponge, because that picture looked, just the Victoria sponges in general, I don't know what it is. They're like elegant, but they're simple and rustic. And it's got the best part of the jam and the cake and the cream to them. I've always enjoyed the Victoria sponge.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're supposed to put more jam on it than I put on and less cream. But I'm making it for my mum mostly, and she's like, she doesn't like jam, and she's like, put more cream on. I'm like, mother, it's twice the size of the cake. And she's like, put more cream on.
Whatever you do. Hey, so maybe you can settle this for me. Is it scone or scone?
Well, see, I'm in Scotland. I would say scone.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Some of the best scones I've had have been in Scotland. I don't know what it is. I think it's the cream. It must be the cream and butter that you all have.
Yeah, the cream's different. The way we do cream is different.
Yeah. Which sucks that I wish I could get cream from other places, but that wouldn't travel well.
No, it wouldn't. That would not be nice when it arrived.
No, I'll just have to go over more often. I have I didn't smuggle, but I did when I came home last time. I had a suitcase, and my sister's like, "How did you get through customs?" Because I had a grocery store. I had cookies, I had bottles of Schweppes lemonade, I had chocolate, I had whiskey. I'm like, I just walked. Like nobody.
No, they don't check.
They don't check. You act like you know what you're doing. She's like, I've stopped at the Canadian border for 2 ounces of maple syrup. I'm like, don't look guilty. Just keep walking.
Keep walking. Because I'm always doing it. When I'm in the US, I've always got an order list. People are like, bring me this and bring me this and bring me this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, for me, it's the other way around. I'm like, bring me back Lion bars and picnic bars and Rolo eggs and...
Yeah,
I'll send pictures. This is what it looks like. So, and I want to ask you, because you are a midwife, and
yes.
When I had my children, I looked most forward to what was I going to eat after they were born. Because there was one time I almost had to have a cesarean, and I'm like, no, because my reward isn't In-N-Out burger. No, I'm having this child actually. I don't care if it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting my In-N-Out burger. So have you had any weird, or what's the most like interesting or unusual or memorable moments of women post-birth when what they want to eat? Do you have any?
Most women that we see all know that we serve them in our hospital. In most hospitals in the UK, they get tea and toast just after they give birth. And they all want this tea and toast. They've all heard about it, because I've always been told that it's the best tea and toast that you'll ever have in your life. And I don't know if it's because it's like NHS butter, so it's probably full of salt, and because it's the cheapest of the cheap, and or if it's the fact that you hadn't eaten in hours and you're starving that makes it so good. But apparently, it's the best tea and toast ever.
That's so funny. So, what type of tea is it?
just that like UK British tea. So I think in America it's like breakfast tea.
Breakfast tea, okay. Yeah.
I always bring my own tea bags when I come to the States. Tea bags in a kettle in the suitcase.
That's so funny. I did buy a kettle, and I think I'm like one of those people I know that has an actual kettle in my kitchen for the water. It's just, there's the beverage button on the microwave. That's just.
Oh no.
I have an official kettle now, people, so you can calm
It's
down.
okay. Yeah, British people would be horrified at the way Americans make tea.
Make it easy. But tea and toast, that is so funny. I do remember I had surgery a year ago, and I was given graham crackers and apple juice, and I swear that was the most amazing apple juice and graham crackers ever. I'm like, what bread? I'm like, what brand is this? This is amazing. So like, I totally forgot to ask you, Halloween, you and Halloween.
Oh, I love Halloween.
I know, it's amazing. It's so much fun. I show my girls, I've always shown my girls, look at Cait and Halloween on Facebook because, because it's just so mind-blowing to see all your kids and the way you just decorate your cute little Harry Potter-esque front door.
Well, we had to, that was new the year before last. We had to combat the rain somehow. We were getting so wet. It's always wet at Halloween here. So that was to try and stay dry. And we can't open the door to kids because there's so many of them.
Yeah, you have hundreds.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had 300-ish the last time we did it.
And is that, I don't want to say that's normal, but was that something that has always been in that neighborhood, or is it slowly?
It's kind of doubled every year. I think the first year we did it, the first time we counted was about 60, and then the next year it was 120, and then the next year it was like 200 and something, and then, it's just doubled every year. But what it is, well, we decorate, and also we are on the same road as a school. So the kids all walk past the house, for the week before Halloween on the way to school. So they all know where to come.
That's so funny, because you think, well, at least I think like trick-or-treating itself is like a very American thing, and it wasn't known around the country. And it's the
last few years, it's really just become a thing in the UK. I mean, we've always done it, but it's really become more Americanized in the last kind of 5 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, we just love doing it. We love decorating the house. So we had to buy a shed for all the stuff. We had to actually buy a shed to put it in. That and Christmas. We don't do quite as big at Christmas, but Mum and I both love doing it. It's just about time to start buying the sweets again.
Yeah. Oh,
you have to start months in advance.
Stack up, because you guys don't really have a Costco out there.
Oh, we do.
Oh, you do.
But actually, I buy them on Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Yeah, and then I don't have to carry it anywhere. It comes to me.
That's an idea. My parents are the family that gives out the full-size candy bars.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood they live in isn't that great. And it's also very cyclical. They've been there for like 30 some years. So like they'll have a bunch of kids, and then after 6 or 7 years, not very many kids. And then they'll have lots of kids again, and then it kind of goes down. But yeah, they're known as the house with the big candy bars. And you can hear the kids down the street, like as they pass each other, going, "Where'd you get that? That house right there." Yeah. And they all start running, and it's so cute. Or they're just, you hand it to them, their eyes are just huge, like.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's great. We have, they started out in this street because it was a lot of older people that lived in this street when we moved in, and hardly anybody decorated. Hardly anybody did Halloween. But it's getting better, and we would guilt them into it. The last few years, we'd be like, "It's your turn now. You need to start doing it." So now that younger families are moving in, a lot of them are starting to do it. But there's a house just a few minutes away, just around the corner, who do a haunted house every year. Oh, so neat. They actually decorate their whole house and then open the door and bring the kids through the house. So between us and them, we get all the kids. I mean, they had a queue for like 20 minutes last time.
Wow, that's so cool. So thank you so much for sharing some stories with me today.
It's a pleasure.
I want to again thank Cait for taking time out of her day to talk to me today. And I learned so many new things, such as tea and toast and how that's a big thing post-giving birth. I would have never have guessed. So I hope you do enjoy spending time with us today. Give this video a little like. better, you can subscribe, because we do want to see you again in the future. So until next time, y'all.